Hey friends, thanks for joining me today. I am going to be kind of walking through working on this beautiful Akhal named Damascus. This is my first time working on him, and so it took a little bit of some trust building and him just warming up to me before I could work on anything other than, I would say, his neck down. So I've sped this whole thing up by 4 times just because I spent an hour and a half on him, and craniosacral work and myofascial work are it's a slow it's just a slow technique, and so it's just a lot of like waiting for tissue to unwind itself and release. So here I'm just starting on his neck because this is an endurance horse, so he runs long distances and had an accident with his rider, and so that accident involved his neck, and so I'm feeling a lot of tension here down by that brachiocephalicus. So I'm just trying to get him to just kind of calm down and trust me here because he was very wary at first, and so I was just trying to, I guess, figure out where he wanted me to go, and so a lot of that is just trying to get in tune with the horse and asking the horse's inner physician, where does it need most of the work. So here I'm doing a little bit of a hyoid release, and my right hand is on his frontal bone. So I'm feeling a lot of stuff here. He had a nice, good swallow here and a nice release in that hyoid. You could see some licking and chewing, so that was a really good sign there. Just a lot of talking and reassuring here. He's a stubborn one and a very hot-blooded one, but I really enjoy these breeds for some reason. Possibly because I am stubborn myself. So here I'm just trying to see if he wants me to work on his pole here, on that occiput. I'm feeling a lot of tension on his frontal bone. And a lot of times when we work, some more licking and chewing there, when we are working on the cranium, you are also simultaneously working on the pelvis. So when we're working on one part of the body, and unlike massage, when we are massaging, we're only working on that one area, but when we are working on fascia, you're also working on the entire body, so you're getting releases and it's affecting the entire fascial system, which is amazing. So it was okay that I was able to start with his neck and his cranium as well, and a little bit ago we saw a little bit more of a release there. Here he's just getting a little impatient, and he chewed on my phone a little bit. They all say hi whenever I work on them, and he's getting a little testy with me, seeing what I'm made of here. So a lot of times when horses have never received any kind of like craniosacral work or fascial work, they're not really sure what to expect, and a lot of times they will feel a release coming and they'll want to fight it, and so it's really important for them to realize that just on the other side of that scary feeling is the release. And so sometimes you just really have to be patient with horses. Some horses will stand there all day long and let you do this. Other horses get a more fight or flight, which he was definitely more prone to, which is fine. Over time we'll build trust, and he'll get to know that I'm not here to hurt him. I'm just here to help him release his emotional and physical trauma. So right here, I'm doing a little bit of a diaphragm release. So at this point, he had kind of warmed up to me and I was able to touch his midline. In the beginning, I had went to touch his midline and he kind of jumped and freaked out. It was just a very light touch. So there I was just building that with him. And then here we have his owner came in so that I could begin to work on his anyways, here I wanted to work on his hind end because his stifles were really tight as well and kind of crackly and stiff for a pretty young horse here. So I got him on my bolster and I'm on his sacrum right here, and I'm using a little bit of both craniosacral and myofascial release just to feel his sacrum. And I'm feeling at this point a lot on his right side. His glute is very tight, and so I remember during this he had a very nice release there into his right glute, and was able to fully relax that for me. So I know that he enjoyed this really well. And so I just want to say a little bit about different techniques. So I have learned the 25 stress points with Jack, and while I think it was good and I enjoyed it, I found that working myofascially and with the craniosacral system, the horse responds 100 times better. I get great feedback. The horse is able to relax into it like they're half asleep, and you know they are processing some very deep stuff. I have worked on the same horse. I've done the 25 stress points, and this was a thoroughbred, one of my other videos, and he just jumps all over the place. He does not like it. It activates fight or flight for him. But if I do all craniosacral, someone had put a comment on there, check to see the horses, alive. Well, yeah, they're very relaxed. And if you were to receive a craniosacral treatment, you would also feel very relaxed because it is igniting your parasympathetic system, which is your rest and digest. And so it's a very deep healing technique developed by Dr. Upledger. And so that's why I think he picked his leg up. He's just really feeling it there and feeling it in that glute. I stayed there for quite a while. So anyways, I just really enjoy and prefer to use craniosacral myofascial techniques on horses. For the last 11 years that I've been a massage therapist, I would say 9 of those years I have practiced myofascial on my clients. If someone were to come to me with chronic pain, 100% I would suggest myofascial and craniosacral because it's going to get to the root of their problem. I mean, they could keep coming back to me and they could get a deep tissue and they're going to think it feels good, but their tissue and their fascia is not releasing. It's telling your fight or flight, your sympathetic system, to fire up, and you're not able to fully release. So for humans and animals, I just really, really enjoy these techniques. And yes, they're a lot slower, but you feel so many wonderful and deep things when you're working on these horses, and you know that they love it. Look how still this horse is. A hot, fiery Teke that's just ready to go. He's in his training season, and he's kind of like, what's she doing over there? Which is fine, they're just curious. So I'm really feeling a lot. I remember spending quite a bit of time on his glutes here. So here I'm doing a little bit of myofascial, so nice big deep breath there. Did you see that? a good release. So I have one hand on his sacrum and the other kind of in that glute area where I'm feeling a lot of the tightness. Also is feeling a lot of heat coming off of that glute. And this was a cool winter day here in Florida. So yeah, he's really feeling it there. You could see it in his eyes. He's just processing some things here. And then here I believe I'm on more on the sacrum, and then even below that, kind of in the coccyx area. So really I'm just allowing my hands to go wherever they're being drawn to, wherever I feel the tightness and the restriction. And the more that you do this, the more that you will feel these things in tissue, whether that is a human tissue or animal tissue. Just remember, this is sped up 4 times. I spent an hour and a half on Damascus here, and I spent a good bulk of the time here on his glutes. Although it didn't seem like it. Time flies when I'm in the middle of this here. I'm trying to reach, I believe, on the other side there, but it's kind of hard to get to that other side, to his left side when you're on the right side. Being a good boy here. Yeah, I think that felt good. His head is down, he's nice and relaxed here. Here I'm just feeling on his semitendinosus, semimembranosus. Those were pretty tight over there too. So here's where I tried to go in on the other side. I didn't want to move to the other side with the block because I didn't want to startle him or have to get resituated, because he's not sure about this block that I'm standing on. So I'm just reaching over on that other side of the sacrum in that glute area where I'm feeling the tightness here. See how he's kind of nodding his head like that? That's a common thing that I see a lot with horses. So he's definitely processing something here in this area. At this point, he's relaxed that other hip, that leg, his left leg. So we're definitely releasing some deep stuff here. And another thing to remember is when we're doing this, we're not pressing down into the horse. These are large animals, very muscular, but that doesn't mean that we have to use force by any means. Upledger teaches to use no more than the weight of a nickel, which is about 5 grams. So that's a very light, and it's not going to trigger much of a response from either an animal or a human where they feel like they have to tense up and tighten and protect that area. So it's a very nice way to get very deep into the muscle, the tissue, the fascia. And I am using both of my hands here as well. His breathing's pretty calm here. Okay, and then we're just getting ready to regroup here. I tried to move to the other side there. It took a little bit of coaxing. So we finally got to that other side, and I'm just working on his other glute. His left glute. And again, I have one hand on the sacrum there, and then another hand on a point in his glute where I just feel some tightness. Oh, and Dad just left there, so he's kind of like, great, you left me with her again. And he's just not sure about it. Usually I do prefer to work on the horse when he's not eating, because he's not distracted with food and is able to process things. But I mean, if they're eating, resting, and digesting, I guess he is relaxed. But it's just easier to see that something's going on. He looks half asleep here, chewing with his eyes closed. He's such a beauty. So yeah, I spent a good bulk of the time here working on either side of his glutes, since there's a lot of tension back there, which makes sense as an endurance horse. He had a lot of flatulence and gas here when working on the glutes. A nice big huff there. So those are always good signs of just letting go of some tension. He thought I was going to try to ride him with this block up there by him, so it took a little bit of time for him to just get used to the fact that I was just going to stand by him. So really when I'm working on a horse here, I'm just in tune with either the human or the animal energetically here, tuning into him and what I'm feeling in the tissue as well. So it's a lot of just being present, I guess, and just waiting. Never forcing anything here, because really the horse is doing the work here. He decides when he wants to release and let go of tension. So here I'm a little bit higher up on his, higher than the sacrum a little bit, on the sacrum, and then into that longissimus area, where the back of the saddle would be. So I was just feeling some tightness there. So basically like his sacroiliac joint. Trying to do a little bit of traction or let's say compression, decompression there, similar to what I would do with a human, only they would be lying on their back. So a lot of times there's a nice big release. Yeah, you just have to modify things for horses. And the nice thing is that horses, animals in general, they're just very open-minded. A lot of times as humans we get our thinking mind in the way of just being able to let go and have a nice release. So here I'm just kind of pressing either side of his iliac together to kind of create space in his sacrum, which also, that feels really nice for us humans too. Okay, here we got resituated. And I'm just working on like TFL area and then a little bit into that semimembranosus, like on the edge of it, because I was just feeling a lot of tightness there. And then in a moment here, he right before he moves here, I felt a little freak out in his his body. So I moved away because I felt like that was like a fight or flight reaction. Something was about to release and he didn't like it. So that's what's about to happen here. Whatever that was, it was a big thing for him. So I kind of just let him process that. So when I'm working with horses, I just really like to be present with them and really working with them and never forcing anything on them, I guess. I just have a lot of respect for animals in general and horses. So here I'm just trying to get a feel for energetically what's going on with him and what does he need next. Going back to the glutes here, but I think he was about done with his glutes being worked on. So we're going to transition here in just a moment. Okay, here I'm back up on my little stool here, or my cushion, so that I can get a better leverage on his frontal bone. And then I wanted to do a little work on his occiput as well, because he was just really tight up there. And of all the horses I've worked on, a lot of them are very hesitant for me to even touch that area, and I felt like he just really wanted it, was not resistant at all to that. So I spent the remainder of the time here on his cranium. He just responded really well to having his cranium work done. So I'm feeling a lot. I have both of my hands on either side of his frontal bone. He had just like very large head. I have smallish hands, so my hands just fit really well. Left hand, right hand on his frontal bone here, just kind of following the movements of where he wanted to go and where I felt the cranium wanted to move. So yes, your cranium, even a human cranium, is going to be able to slide and move around and release fascial restrictions, because you can get fascial restrictions in your cranium as well. So this work is just very relaxing, very healing. Here I noticed he was taking some nice, deep, big breaths. And of course, this is sped up 4 times. So this was just this was a good moment. I felt a good connection with the horse here at this last bit, working on his frontal bone, his occiput, and even he let me work on his ears, which I haven't been able to do on a horse yet. And it's curious because I had talked to the owner afterwards, and he, doesn't let anyone touch his ears. And at one point I was actually doing ear pulls. Like, I haven't done this on an animal, but I really felt a lot of tension around his ears. And so I just felt really led to do ear pulls. And so I was able to do that. And that was just a really beautiful experience. So I'm just right below on either side of his ears here. He's very relaxed here, very calm, taking some nice, deep, slow breaths. I didn't have a camera assistant with me, so I do apologize that it's kind of a bad shot here coming from his rear, his butt. I would have turned it around, but I was just so deep into this moment here, feeling lots of releases. I just didn't want to chance repositioning the the camera at this point. So here I'm just following the movements. When you're doing craniosacral work, you can feel the left side moving, the right side moving. They move independent of each other. Sometimes one moves more than the other, and you just allow your hands to gently follow that movement, because that is the fascia unwinding here. And as you can see, I'm just using my fingertips, and I am not pressing down hard whatsoever. But I'm feeling some very deep things going on here. It was almost like bunched up tissue underneath his ears there. And I know he had like twisted his neck when another horse had made contact with him during the endurance run. And so I'm sure this affected his cranium, you know, his whole head and neck. So here I went for the right ear. And I'm doing a little ear pull. Just really sensing that this was a big relief for him. Here I'm just following the movements of his ear. So he's kind of moving me around. I'm not forcing anything. So he's still in control. I'm just a conduit for healing here. And then I'm just placing a couple of fingertips here on top of his occiput, because it's quite tight up there, so I'm just helping to release that. And he's really liking this. So I basically just spent the rest of the time here on his occiput, just getting a nice release, creating space there between his first vertebra, this cervical spine, and his occiput. So that pretty much sums up what I did in that 90-minute session. We did a lot, we accomplished a lot, but ultimately the horse kind of led the session and kind of told me what he needed. So thank you so much for tuning in today and watching this video with me. If you have any questions about craniosacral myofascial techniques, please comment below. If you have anything specific that you would like to see in a video, I'd love to hear from you. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon.